Federal immigration agents kill Minneapolis man, sparking protests and political backlash. On Saturday, January 24, 2026, a 37-year-old Minneapolis man was shot and killed by U.S. immigration enforcement agents during a law enforcement operation in South Minneapolis, marking the second fatal shooting by federal agents in the city in 3 weeks amid an intensified immigration crackdown. The victim, Alex Jeffrey Preddy, a registered nurse and U.S. citizen, was killed on the street near West 26th Street and Nicollet Avenue South. Federal authorities, including the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, said agents were conducting a targeted operation to arrest an individual suspected of violent assault when Preddy allegedly approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a handgun and resisted disarmament. A federal agent fired in what DHS described as self-defense. However, video reviewed and verified by independent news agencies appeared to show Preddy holding only a phone and attempting to help others before being pepper-sprayed and forced to the ground by multiple agents. In the footage, an agent is seen removing what may have been a firearm from Preddy's person, but Preddy never brandishes a weapon before the shots are fired. Tensions run high in Minneapolis. Preddy's death occurred on streets already strained by nationwide protests over federal immigration enforcement tactics, particularly after the January 7th killing of Renee Good, another Minneapolis resident shot by an ICE agent under controversial circumstances. That earlier incident sparked large demonstrations and ongoing demands for accountability. Following Saturday's shooting, hundreds of people gathered in the frigid city to confront armed federal agents, with authorities using tear gas and flashbangs to manage crowds. The unrest quickly spilled into other U.S. cities, including New York, Washington, D.C., and San Francisco, where demonstrators decried what they view as excessive force by federal immigration agencies. Local leaders also condemned the shooting. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz called for an end to the current federal enforcement operation, denouncing the incident as another horrific use of lethal force by federal agents. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey echoed those demands, urging federal immigration officers to leave the city. National and political fallout. The incident has fueled broader political debate about the role and oversight of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and Border Patrol. Critics from both parties have raised concerns about accountability and transparency in these operations, amid reports that many ICE and Border Patrol officers do not wear body cameras, complicating oversight efforts. At the federal level, Democrats in the Senate signaled plans to block government funding bills that include Homeland Security and ICE budgets unless stricter reforms and accountability measures are adopted, moves that could trigger a partial government shutdown. Meanwhile, federal officials, including DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, defended agents' actions, arguing they acted in self-defense and rejecting what they called misleading narratives about the circumstances. This defense has drawn sharp criticism from local and national figures who contend that federal enforcement tactics have escalated violence and eroded trust in law enforcement. Community mourning and calls for justice. Preddy's family described him as a compassionate healthcare worker dedicated to serving veterans and the community. They rejected official accounts of the shooting, saying he was not a threat and that videos contradict the government's narrative. Their calls for the truth have galvanized supporters and added emotional weight to ongoing protest movements. As Minneapolis grapples with the fallout from this latest fatal encounter, questions about federal enforcement policy, civilian safety, and the conduct of immigration operations continue to animate national dialogue, with no easy answers in sight.